Yeah, the haters are going to hate, but I mean, we just got back from Asia, and demand continues to accelerate. And like I said, demand's outstripping supply 15 to 1. You start to look at Godfather of AI, Jensen, Nvidia. This is just the start of the AI revolution. We believe a year from now, Nvidia is a $4 trillion market cap.
$4 trillion market cap. I mean, that's a huge statement to make. What's the thesis behind that for Nvidia hitting that level?
I mean, look, you have $1 trillion of AI-driven capex. They're the only game in town. Numbers, we believe, go up significantly higher. I think the street's still underestimating in terms of what ultimate demand looks like here. And I think as this all plays out, it is not an expensive stock. And I think when you look next 6-12 months, not just about NVIDIA, but I think rest of tech, we believe tech could be up 25-30% over the next year.
Hold on to your portfolios, folks, because Nvidia has just turned the stock market on its head. In an astonishing display of growth, Nvidia Corp shares closed slightly up, yet managed to push its market capitalization past an impressive $3 trillion. But here's the kicker. Some experts are predicting an even larger leap, eyeing a $4 trillion valuation in the not-so-distant future. If you're wondering who's fueling this optimistic train, look no further than industry heavyweights like Ram Ahluwalia, CEO of Lumida Wealth Management, and Tony Wang, portfolio manager at T. Rowe Price, who are both singing Nvidia's praises. So how did this tech titan climb atop such dizzying heights? And why do the stock market savants believe there's still room to ascend? We'll dive into the heart of Nvidia's incredible journey and decipher what it could mean for both seasoned investors and stock market rookies alike. Welcome back, everyone, to Investocracy.
The other thing Druckenmiller said, of course, was lamenting selling Nvidia.
That is
a, quote, big mistake.
I have to tell you, one of the reasons you have to like Stanley is whoever admits that they sold something, whoever says, look at my woods, and the answer is, and remember, Ken Langone would tell you, investor with him that's never had a lost year, has a level of humility that I love, kind of like Tepper, but less profane.
He's not alone in being sad that he sold Nvidia. I mean, anybody who sold Nvidia is sad they did so. I'm sure Massa in particular at SoftBank. What did they? How much percent did they own of Nvidia back 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago?
Yeah, well, remember Jensen
made some money, but
Jensen
sold it before the big move.
Jensen has it. There are so many millionaires at Nvidia.
Yeah,
it's incredible. I mean, you go in and everybody, so many, and the humility there. You don't think anybody's any different from working at Bethlehem Steel. It's incredible the culture that they have. By the way, Nvidia is not up as much as I thought.
It would be.
In today's financial news, Nvidia emerges as the undisputed star, much like a phoenix ascending from the ashes of predictable stock dealings to the heights of market admiration. And, to add a little humor to the seriousness of it all, why did the Nvidia stock cross the road? To show everyone how it's done. Now that's a benchmark for success that even the most skeptical analysts will have to acknowledge. But, in all seriousness, let's unpack what's fueling Nvidia's soaring stock prices. The rally starts with the basics of economics, supply and demand. Nvidia's GPUs are largely unrivaled, with demand further ignited by the wildly expanding AI industry. Experts like Ram Ahluwalia cite the increasing returns on investments for early adopters of Nvidia technology, stating matter-of-factly that the demand for their chips is burgeoning. Tony Wang adds to this optimistic outlook, pointing out that AI investment is nowhere near its saturation point, leaving Nvidia ample runway for expansion and revenue growth. Skeptical? Let's look at some data. According to a forecast from Goldman Sachs, Nvidia's revenues are expected to double over the next few years, indicating that this rise in share price is grounded in solid financial foresight. They have set a conservative price target of $150, while other analysts, including BofA Securities, have expanded their price target up to $190. Moreover, delve deeper into Nvidia's dynamics, and it becomes apparent why they dominate their field. With control of 80 to 85% of the AI chip market, Nvidia's hold is as firm as a handshake from a competitive poker player. The TAM, or total addressable market, they could potentially tap into by 2024 stands at a staggering $400 billion. Yes, you heard that right. That's fourfold what previous estimates projected, and it leads to an enticing proposition of not just growth, but compounding growth potential. Bank of America recently upgraded Nvidia's earnings estimates, inflating predictions for 2025 and 2026 by a whopping 13% to 20%. This bullish sentiment is corroborated by the firm's extraordinary potential for cash generation. Their forecasts estimate Nvidia's plausible generation of over $200 billion in free cash flow in the next 2 years, with profit margins soaring to 45 to 50%. But before we go any further, if you want to keep up with Nvidia's latest updates and keep up with the stock market's latest news, you can follow our Twitter account. We post multiple times daily about the biggest changes and catalysts in the market, so click the follow button if you don't want to miss the newest market updates.
You want to talk about Nvidia? Here, as we say, new all-time high, right on the heels of Apple in terms of overall market cap leadership in the market.
Look, this is just one of those situations where until they materially stumble, fundamentally, like miss a delivery or have some sort of like a manufacturing issue, like until something like that happens, people just come into this name. And I don't even know if do we all remember on this desk, literally, this stock was in a 24% drawdown in September. Mm-hmm. You know how many people said if Nvidia ever has a correction, I'll buy it? Did they? Did they buy it?
When it was $100?
Yeah.
Right?
Or did they say, oh, it's in a 24% correction, it's over? A lot of people that said, oh, I can't wait for it to come in, that's where I'll buy. Well, it did come in, didn't last long. And yet again, you have outrageous options activity in the stock. It's at all-time highs. It's so rare that you see the second largest publicly traded company in the world have the level of options activity, bullish call spreads this time, that you have right now. And this has just been like a recurring nightmare for people that are trying to manage a portfolio that's benchmarked to the S&P. This is like high beta, gigantic weighting. How do you fight this? There's almost no other stock that acts like it. And listen, I submit, this is a really tough name at today's valuation. You could love the business, but if you have no position and you're watching this thing take out 140 as I'm talking, it's like, oh my God, how am I not in the stock? Yeah. And I talk to these people and I know.
Yeah, and look, I mean, people who have not been in have gotten in what they thought was late, and it hasn't turned out necessarily to be late.
Further, there's a compelling narrative around Nvidia's strategic partnerships. They have collaborated with industry titans like Accenture and Oracle, who fortify its technological reach and corporate credentials. Such partnerships are not just feather decorations in Nvidia's cap. They're strategic alliances expected to amplify their already monumental growth prospects. For those uncertain about Nvidia's stock's future, a little stock market insight could ease your hesitance. The magnificent 7 tech stocks, stalwarts like Apple and Microsoft, pale in comparison when viewing Nvidia's growth potential through the distinctive price-to-earnings growth lens, rated at just 0.6 times against their average of 1.9 times. However, every stock story brings its share of fluctuations and hiccups. Despite Nvidia's wave-like rise, they faced a slight hiccup following market reactions to ASML's early earnings release, a negative ripple effect that saw other semiconductor stocks dipping, but left Nvidia largely unscathed due to its buoyant market stance. So, what does all this mean for investors cautiously eyeing Nvidia's trajectory? Is now the right moment to jump onto the back of this charging bull? As Nvidia prepares to harness its staggering potential in AI chip demand, the opportunity for investment seems ripe, promising gains that echo profoundly across trading floors worldwide. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
Taiwan Semi said Nvidia should have traded a lot better. Now, I'll say this. The move in Nvidia since the August 5th low has been staggering, but the fact that we didn't close above that June 20th high of 140 and change, at least today, I think it's a little concerning.
Oh, so again, that outside reversal day. We go back to that day.
Still intact.
Still intact,
Melissa Lee.
No, I understand. And I remember having that conversation right here on the desk, and it's amazing how intact it has been. But Karen, you don't trade on technicals. You look. So Steve has made the call that he's willing to give up whatever upside there is, and I think this is the dilemma that most people have with Nvidia, right? You see the stock continuing to go to record highs. You're like, I don't want to pull the trigger. I don't want to sell. I don't want to sell because I'm worried I'm going to miss the next however many
whatever
points,
it is,
10 points or 50, whatever it is.
So what do I do?
How do you do? How do you weigh that?
I look to sell out of the money calls. So you take in some premium, and obviously if there's a big way down, then, the premium doesn't do you enough good. But anything sort of flat to up a little, that's good. And you can continue you don't have to realize any gains. That's important. And if you are short term, if you sell calls out at least 30 days, you can keep aging your position to get to long term. So for me, a lot of it is tax driven.
Right.
I kind of want to stay in it anyway and see what, how does this all?
Sure.
Right. But at some point, you have to start selling some, and then if it goes through your strike price, then you're going to, if you just let yourself be assigned, you'll have a smaller position.
Right. You don't trade in options, and so you wouldn't.
I don't, but that would be what you should do to protect your position. I go off of levels. So when you say I'll give up the upside, I give up the upside to a certain extent. And then once it proves itself, I use that old high as my exit strategy. If I'm wrong again, if I pick the top and it continues to climb, I use that old high as my support level. So if it breaks down through there, I sell the position. If not, I keep accruing it.
Dan, if what you predict comes to fruition, Nvidia could be one of the greatest shorts out there. When does that day come in your view? What do you look for?
Well, let's step back to ASML, okay? So if you have a bookings number that was down 55%, okay, from just quarter over quarter, if you think about that, and they're just saying it's XAI, it just can't be. You can't have that lack of visibility. It just doesn't, so something doesn't square with me on that, okay? So at some point, maybe it'll be this next quarter where NVIDIA talks about insane demand, but like the lead times for those chips are going to be pushed out, so you see a slight deceleration. I don't know. I just think that, again, the CapEx for these biggest customers, 40% of NVIDIA's sales come from Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Meta. And at some point, I just think they're going to see a deceleration in their orders, and I think there's some error that's going to come out of it. And just think about from the highs in July to the lows just recently, a month or so ago. I mean, NVIDIA sold off 35%, so it's not going to take much. And that was just a market sell-off. That was a sentiment thing. That was a vibe thing. At some point, there'll be a fundamental reason for these stocks to correct, and it can get cut in half. I'm just like, that's just obvious. If it could sell off on a market sell-off 35%, if there's a fundamental reason, it's going to get worse.
In wrapping up this electrifying saga of NVIDIA's stock market expedition, a clear message resonates across investment circles. NVIDIA is not just another tech company. It's the flag bearer for the future of AI technology. Its meteoric rise isn't merely a temporary blip. It's part of a larger, calculated ascendancy within the stock market's echelons, with NVIDIA eyeing valuations of $4 trillion in the foreseeable future, as foreseen by analysts like Ram Alawalia and Tony Wong. The rationale for investment becomes strikingly evident. Currently sitting pretty with a market capitalization north of $3 trillion and stellar financial forecasts, NVIDIA stands as an alluring investment beacon with room to grow. The price targets stretching upwards into potentially doubling its stock prices over forthcoming years add layers of credibility to this claim. Moreover, backed by NVIDIA's inventive technology and strategic business partnerships, the AI sector offers an expansive and fertile ground for future profitability. So, dear viewer, the stage is yours to decide. Will you seize this moment to invest in a company whose foundations rest on robust financial pillars and groundbreaking innovation? Or would you rather stand aside and watch this technological revolution unfold? Share your thoughts with us on NVIDIA's unprecedented journey and what this means for your investment strategy. And finally, if you would like to know what companies like NVIDIA have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen.